Hello and welcome to another episode of My Opinion Means Nothing. I really do hope you can hear us.
I really hope you can hear us.
This week I am joined by a very new friend of mine by the name of Minnie. Also goes by the name of Split Mind Poet. Hello.
Hello. Just in case you guys didn't hear the last bit, because we have planes flying over us, it's Split Mind Poet. Yeah, now we can start.
Yeah. So how you doing?
I'm good, yeah. Just blessed to be here with you today and do this podcast.
Yeah.
I've not been on a podcast before, so I'm looking forward to this.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, definitely.
So, usually how I start my podcast is I do the first topic, which is what's happening in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I like to talk about what's happening in the world because I find it hella interesting and hella funny. It's more funny the fucking taglines that they put up, which to grab you in, and then you read it and you're just like, well, it's not even that crazy. Like,
yeah, do you know, I honestly these days I don't read the Metro newspaper for that very reason, because I'm just looking at the headline and I'm thinking this story will take 5 days to develop, so I'm just going to pick up the newspaper on a Friday and just go with that instead. That's what I do nowadays. This is a technique I've developed.
Yeah, I don't know. I only read the news a lot when I'm doing a podcast, but a lot of the time I read just on my app, on the Apple News app. I go on the Metro for this podcast because they have the best like taglines for like podcasts, just for news articles. The funniest one was when the fastest editing I believe I have ever seen for the internet. It was just like the first headline that I saw, it said racist YouTuber da 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 da. Then suddenly the page refreshed and the new title read YouTuber who has been accused of being racist, and I was just like, oh,
holy crap,
there's
the difference.
You know,
the difference that makes. That's the difference between losing your job and not losing your job over just the title.
You know.
Do you know nowadays? I've not seen many subheadings under the main headline. And I think we're missing out on those things, And nowadays the headlines that do exist, they sort of exist quite large.
Yeah.
And it's like a quotation by someone, and that's a way of just enticing you into the news. I don't appreciate it. I find it hilarious, like you said in the beginning. News is just the most hilarious thing that you can go on. And it is literally the thing that every comedian picks up on.
I just had a thought now that it's kind of like, do you know how like everyone used to go to like the news, like actual news publications to get the news?
Yeah.
And nowadays people go to social media to get the news. It's like, to keep up with social media being the main focus of the news, normal news outlets are like, do you know what, we need to jump in with those we need to jump in with those grabby headlines and then just hook people in, like, to read our shitty articles. Like, and they're not all shitty, they have like factual information, but I mean shitty in the sense that it's not always as crazy as they paint it out to be.
It's never as crazy as they paint it out to be. I mean, put it this way, yeah, like the way Trump, for example, uses headlines, and the way he's used Twitter to even win the election in some sorts of ways, makes you just wonder whether news itself exists.
Yeah.
Is there any substance in news these days? Or do we have to genuinely, like, if we really give a shit about news, we have to literally dig in and do our own research?
Exactly.
The headlines and the stories that we see nowadays, even up in Metro newspaper, a very conservative sort of right-wing paper like The Guardian, you ask yourself, okay, I've got what you've given me a lot of detail about it, but why is it that today news makes you think more than you have to think about it? It's tedious.
Yeah.
I don't like the fact that I have to go and look at a title and then look at the quotation underneath, read this story, and I think to myself, what the F is going on? Like, are you serious? Like yesterday, right? This is just near my hometown, right? So this is in Uxbridge. Yesterday, the title of the tab was Uxbridge is on lockdown. Literally, that was the title. And there was just a few more words after that, and they said Uxbridge is on lockdown. And I was like, what the fuck do you mean the whole of Uxbridge is on a lockdown? And then I read the article. obviously it was written by someone who probably did, part of the editing newspaper at their university. And basically all it said was that a bunch of people outside Clark's, a bunch of children started making a racket and no one could stop them, and they weren't listening to their parents, and basically the police was called down, and basically anyone that comes near the area will get arrested. How the hell is that related to the whole of Uxbridge or Uxbridge High Street getting closed down? Like, someone tell me that.
I mean, it made you want to read it. That's all they want. What will make people want to read this? Uxbridge is shut down. What? Click.
My question to you is, then what are we learning from when we get headlines like this? I mean, are we missing out on the real story if we start clicking and like accepting that these are the kind of headlines we're going to get? That's what I mean. We always have to end up doing our own research on every story that we see out there.
You have to do that anyway, even when we were getting it from a norm. That's the thing. That's the greatest thing about internet and social media, in a sense, that when we had news, when it was just coming from one source, you just had to kind of just believe that or have your own opinion, but there was no thing for like that outlet for what that other opinion could be. But now with the birth of social media and commenting on everything,
pretty much,
people can comment and have an opinion on absolutely everything and anything, and they can have opinion on something that you might have said maybe, I don't know, 5-10 years ago. They want to dig back into your streams, pick that back up again. Do you know what? That's relevant now.
It's relevant today. I completely have to agree with you on that one.
It's crazy. Like, it's like the amount of, I guess, for some of the things that have happened, like, it's good in the sense, like stuff like all the sexual assault cases that have come out of the woodworks, but that's only become a big thing and a big following because of social media, because of the social media being able to push this hashtag Me Too and stuff like that.
Exactly. So I mean, there's a power, isn't it? Everything comes with a good and a destructive power. Some people use it for the bad, and that's sort of what we get politicized and sort of comes out on TVs. But the real makes, and like, when you really nitpick social media, now you can understand that these are the strands that we need to start focusing on to address these things that are out there. Like when we see somewhere like on Twitter or when we see it on Instagram, people are using hashtags to like sort of push forward certain things. We should start enforcing the equal number of different types of hashtags that can exist just against that one point. I'll be honest, I predicted in 2007 that we should leave the EU. Okay, I'll be very honest, I was one of those. I'll tell you something. Okay, I didn't vote. Okay. I just said that we should leave. And now the reason why I didn't vote was because I had this discussion with my godmother in 2007 as to why we should leave the EU. It's only because I realized around that time, especially because China's market was going to start growing with us fairly quickly, I said, I think we should leave, because if we don't leave now, we are not going to understand what it feels to start focusing on the domestic side of our economy. We were in Labour Party around the time, and in terms of how diverse UK has become, Labour is the kind of party that we have seen that construct sort of come out from. Conservatives in the past, known as Tories, or the Whigs, they've used it to utilise the workforce that they needed for the kind of jobs that were being created over here, and that goes all the way back to railway times. And you look at it today and you think to yourself, okay, I see that this is the kind of construct that can come with boosting, jobs and immigration and things like that. But I've lost my point. I've lost my point. I was going to say something really valid here. I can't remember it.
It's okay.
It will come back to me.
It will come back to you.
It will come back to me, yeah. I have memory issues. So always that happens to me.
It happens to me too.
Yeah.
It happens to me a lot. Like sometimes you just get so passionate, you're so into it, you're just like, wait, hang on.
I forgot my original point that I was on. Yeah, even though I'm trying to remember it, there's no way it's coming back to me anytime soon. Oh yes, the EU. Yeah. So for example, I said we should leave because I said we need to start focusing on the domestic side, because that's what other countries in the EU are doing. And I said if we don't leave while we're under Labour government, we will never understand what it means to actually leave the EU, because there was no such thing, ever an agenda, ever set or a clause within the Article 51 that this is what happens when you leave the EU, because no one ever imagined it.
Yeah.
But now when we look at it 12 years later, the social media has exacerbated the need for us to understand the domesticity, and understanding your own market has more relevant than other things. And we couldn't do that back then because there wasn't enough information that was going out via social media, because it was still fairly new in many ways in terms of technology coming about.
Yeah.
And now that we have it, we've understood it, we may have taken the decision to leave completely at the wrong time, and that's exactly why I didn't vote. I was for EU, but I wanted to vote Remain, you know, and I'm not lying. The amount of people that would have deleted me on Facebook if I voted EU and I publicized that on my Facebook, it wasn't gonna work. It wasn't gonna work. So this is social media has a really big power today that it did not have before, or we just didn't have the understanding behind it and what it could actually do to us, especially the masses that we're out there. And we're the ones who basically are looking down on our phones all the time, and we're feeding ourselves information of what we're getting out there. And headlines is probably the most enticing way, you know, especially if you wear glasses, you need headlines before anything else to understand a point. So yeah, the power is there, definitely, Corey, the power is there.
Power's in the medium.
Power is lying within the media at the moment, yes.
Well, let's go on to the first news article I had, which was about poor people in rich areas of England have 19 more years of good health than the poorest parts of the country. Some report says in the Independent.
Oh my days. That is a very focused title.
You know,
but it doesn't make me think, wow, for real?
No.
You know, you've sort of divided people apart to show what the living age is going to be, and it makes sense to say that. You know, we have the facilities to, because of good wealth, and those that don't, they're going to have to sort of strive for it. And the sort of parts that people fall under when they end up not having that sufficient good wealth that they need to sort of continue living their life, these sort of statements and percentages start becoming relevant.
Yeah.
But still makes me question it, you know. But it would make me read the article.
Well, it says that obviously, while average life expectancy has reached 83.2 years for women and 79.6 years for men, there are stubborn inequalities between different parts of the country, says Public Health England. So they say that there's those in more deprived areas have a higher rate for heart disease, chronic respiratory disease and cancer, partly as a result of smoking and the obesity problem.
Okay.
Children are twice as likely to be born with low birth weight and more than 3 times as likely to suffer from tooth decay.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Tooth decay, I can relate, but tooth decay is in there? Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, does it tell you in the article where their sources are coming from, as in which parts of the country they are? Because they said there's inequality in terms of where the sources will come from. So how did they come up with that statistic?
It doesn't say really. It just says that Public Health England are doing it. They done a profile. Wait, hang on. Also reveals women. The Public Health Profile for England, released by Public Health England on Tuesday, also revealed that women are dying earlier in the UK than in most EU countries.
Why do you think that is?
Going off from, I don't know, is there a better, I don't know.
It's an unusual thing to even focus on, isn't it? Why would that be the reason?
Why? Apparently the UK women is ranked 18th out of countries of 28 for life expectancy.
There's something I read.
Well, men
yeah.
are
What does it
10th.
say about men?
10th.
10th.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's
Out
within
of
Europe.
Europe, yeah.
Okay. I mean, I can relate to some extent. I mean, I've been here for 21 years in London, and London is a very stressful country.
Maybe
And
stress, yeah.
we don't even, because we were the world capital at one point. We only knew how to sort of run by the system that the country was sort of known for, and we're one of those people where we study and we're going to work at the same time, and we think that's manageable. And I don't think it's manageable. We make it manageable. That's added stress continuously. I mean, there's a lot of women out there, for example, right now, who are sort of, marriages are sort of ending anyways, but there's a lot of women out there that sort of don't want to get into anything of that sort. And it's because they are too busy pushing forward their independence. And it's not something, I don't look down upon that, because, I see myself as an alpha dominant female, but at the same time, you have to ask yourself, what is the lifestyle of women, if they are going to look at statistics this way, within Europe?
Yeah.
Now, within Europe, in some countries such as Sweden or Norway, correct me if I'm wrong, where they are not allowed to work, men and women, over a set number of hours a week.
Yeah.
I believe it's about 22.
I'm not sure.
And what the newspaper article revealed to me, this was about a few months ago, was they said this is the most sorry. I'm one of those Indians who gets my V's and W's mixed up and I can't say them. But this is what you call an amazing headline to get yourself reading. Basically, it said, we want our, in the subheading, they said, we want our basically citizens to have a life outside of work.
What?
So that they can go home to their families, to their friends, and enjoy their evenings. And we want to make sure that we boost an economy where we're paying them enough amount of money so that they can have a lifestyle outside of work, because work is not everything.
What?
If this was not the best headline you guys have heard
What?
in the last few months,
Hey, but maybe
then you're welcome.
Hey, I see what you mean. Like, I
Yeah.
guess because like is it Spain where they have like siestas?
There you go.
Like in Europe, they seem to be like more chilled.
Yeah.
Like so much about everything.
Yeah.
Like, but here we're so uptight and so like, I guess stressed and everything. I don't know. So many queuing. We always queue for everything. That's what we're known for. Queuing.
We're just
here.
known for queuing
Queuing.
and not smiling.
Yeah.
Apparently, I've been told we don't smile when we're walking around. People don't even want to approach us for directions.
Yeah.
I swear they don't. And living in Brighton for 5 years when I was at Sussex taught me one thing. When you're on the train, like train is one of the most perfect commutes to like understand the backwards and coming back and forth. And I was going towards Brighton and people were smiling. When I got to the gates, the conductor, he basically was like, oh, hello, good morning, or if it's good evening, whenever I come through. And people are smiling, they're getting their coffees and their bagels and they're talking and there's music. I go towards Victoria, silence. There is silence. And no one looks at one another. I mean, I already know the target that I need to get to, which is the underground. From the time I've tapped my card in, and I know that basically I have to literally maneuver through everyone, because I know that that's how ridiculous we can be sometimes, living such a stressful life, that we don't know how to not be not stressed. The amount of people that are getting counselling at the moment, people for therapy, are basically, a lot of people are under psychological treatment, and one of the biggest things that they have is handling something like stress and depression. Things like that take away the quality of your life, Corey.
And even anxiety as well.
Anxiety is one of the biggest ones.
And it's one of those ones that like, it's hard to diagnose. And that's the thing, like anyone can say that anxiety. I'm anxious.
Yeah, a lot of people just say, I'm anxious, yeah.
But there's a difference between just being anxious and having anxiety.
Exactly. And I don't think they've made a difference. They haven't differed it already.
Haven't.
Only because they don't know.
Yeah.
They don't know. I've been under the NHS psychiatric team in terms of the amount of cases that I'm appealing against to make them understand what is mental health, and I mean, it's not just the people that are sort of under registers for therapies and treatments and referrals. It's the whole country. I mean, we do not know the definition of mental health as a national, on a national level, where we have put it down in law that these people should get help. And then you get statistics like the ones that we just read out right now about men and women as to why in certain areas it might be lower, and also in UK as a whole it's lower than the average in the EU.
Europe, yeah.
It's because we are not understanding sort of how in this time that we're in right now, which is a very humorous but critical time in our world, history, what is actually happening that is making us feel that way, anxiety. I mean, if I asked anyone, right, like Corey, like if I asked you, I mean, I suffer from anxiety. If I asked you what is anxiety, what would you say out there to people?
I don't know, it's hard to explain. All I can do is explain it from my point of view and how it affects me. But for me, it's kind of like anxiety trips off sometimes stress.
Yeah.
So like, or vice versa. So like I have a thing where if I get overly stressed, I lose my appetite.
Yeah.
And then I just don't know, I just won't eat.
Yeah, 100%, 100%, yeah.
Like I could be literally halfway through a meal, then get into an argument, stressed, appetite gone.
Yeah.
Not eating for the rest of the night until the next day, you
Basically.
know? Or like there's just things like just overthinking things maybe. And
100%, I think overthinking is a very big part of anxiety.
And it's, I don't know, like for me, I just think about everything. Maybe I shouldn't think about everything, but I think about all the questions, all the possible explanations, all the possible things that could happen, or possibly good and bad.
Yeah.
And then I freak myself out about like the worst things that happen, or the everything, and it's just like, what am I worried about?
Yeah.
And like all the time, I do say that to myself. Like, why are you just worried about all these things for? Like, just worry about yourself. But it's just hard sometimes.
It's hard
because you just start thinking. You just get, and then you're going into like I guess I'll call it the sunken place because that sounds cool. But that's what it feels like. You're going. You're just like, oh no. It's just like boom.
It's my sleeping spot. Do you know when I get, so basically like Corey, you literally nailed it. I think everyone's anxiety is to the individual, and especially if you speak about the word anxiety itself and not just feeling anxious. You can get anxious pretty much every day on a daily basis if you live in London especially. But for me, I get speech paralysis. So I go through the whole thing you just mentioned. I basically think. I haven't made any decisions. I'm just thinking, and the decisions I have no choice, but I have to make. I sort of make them. For example, okay, I need to do this. I need to like shower. I need to brush my teeth. I can do all of that. But then when it sort of kicks in really, really hard, and all this, information has come into me, whether it's through people or myself, I completely shut down. And then you won't hear me speak for like hours and hours. And in this moment, I'm not thinking anything. And I call it the sleeping space because I just don't know what to function or how to function anymore. And I'm like, okay, this is bad, this is good. Okay, but I can't make sense of anything. Why am I overthinking? Minnie, stop overthinking. You're still overthinking. Okay, we're gonna stop overthinking. Okay, do you know what? Let's just sit down for a bit. Okay, let's have something to eat. Okay, no, I can't eat. And it just continuously goes on and on and on and on and on, and then it becomes emotionally overwhelming.
Yeah, especially when emotional things happen to you, and it, like arguments with family members, especially when like you then go and sit down and you're thinking, like you already know that you like, especially if you're in the wrong or something, like you sit there, you're like, oh shit. I was so wrong. And then you start thinking about all the possible and how you made the other person feel and how they possibly could be feeling and shit. Like,
why am I thinking about what this person is feeling? That is the question I seem to take about 2 hours to get to, and that level of understanding that I need to have to just basically stop thinking and say, Minnie, just think about yourself. Why are you doing the thinking for other people? And then I think it's that frustration that we have that, people are not doing thinking for themselves, and we sort of like take it out on ourselves, and then, and then we sort of have, we have like an outburst of some sort, and that outburst can be absolutely anything. And I personally find it very difficult, Corey, to explain to people out there the term anxiety. Like, you know, I couldn't even write a poem on it for about a good 2 years, because every time I sat down to write about anxiety, I got anxiety. So,
I know that was the poem that you performed at Chocolate Poetry.
exactly, yeah, the one that was the first, you know, proper piece that I challenged
performed,
myself with. And actually, I'm trying to remember it now, like off by heart, and it's freaking hard because it's a 5-minute piece. But how do you explain to someone that this is my anxiety? Because if I withdraw myself completely once I get anxious, how am I supposed to communicate with you and make you understand it? And I think a lot of the things that we're ignorant of, and that's when social media, you know, the people that are not following social media properly and their growth at this point in life is not, you know, leveling up with how life is actually proceeding and moving forward, is they're not learning the right... Oh.
I just wanted to come on my lap, but he can come through.
Okay.
See you later, doggy.
Bye. Bye,
That's
okay.
alright.
We have been distracted by a very cute dog.
Oh, he is so cute.
Oh, we don't know. It might be a she.
Oh, it could be she.
Yeah. It could be it. So yeah, and so basically, yeah, when I'm trying to explain to people what is anxiety and people don't get it, or like the fact, you know, I've been misdiagnosed with something as serious as epilepsy, people don't know it. And that's because we are filtering fake news, as people say, or not the real news, which is what we should be saying, to people out there. And people are not learning that these are the things that you should be able to be aware of, you know. And because we're so used to having information fed right to us at our doorstep or on our mobile, we don't go out there to find out what is really going on. And mental health happens to be one of the biggest things. And then they wonder why the statistics are coming like this, you know. You've not given us a lifestyle. You never gave us a way to engage with ourselves.
Quality of life.
The quality of life, you know.
Like, it's just work, and
It's just work.
How basically it feels like in the UK, it's like, how can they squeeze as much work out of us as humanly possible?
Yeah.
And like, if there's ways where there should be rest days, how can we squeeze out your rest days and find those loopholes?
Yeah.
How we can make it kind of not so legal, but it's legal.
Yeah, it's still legal. Corey, do you know, I have a friend, she studies art. I mean, she's teaching art, right, at the moment in one of the West London schools. And she is an absolutely brilliant person. She's got her life on track, and she did everything like the way she was supposed to do. And, you know, she's getting paid good. But at the same time, these budget cuts that we're getting in schools at the moment for certain departments, she literally said to me, she said, Minnie, I am buying equipment out of my own money. She did that once or twice, I think. And she goes, just so that students have the right tools. I was like, where is the money going? You know, it makes you question. Where's the money going? Teachers are putting in more of their weight to basically get this, make sure the students are okay and their well-being, and that's way beyond their wage. That is way beyond what they're supposed to be doing.
It comes back to this thing about the government are making these cuts within education, policing, and after-school activities, and then they're wondering why there's a spike in knife crime or crime as a whole in anything. Like, what do you think is going to happen if you take away from people's education and creative outlets, and then you're cutting from the police force? There's even an article that I'm going to come on to that I will go on to in a sec.
Of course.
That I've read the title of. The Home Office apparently doesn't even know how much police... Wait, let me read this so I can get this right, because it was hilarious. It says, the Home Office is in the dark about whether the police force are running out of money. So what? You're making cuts, but you don't know what money is where? Where are you moving this money to? What are you doing?
How are they in the dark?
Yeah, how is the Home Office in the dark about the money in the government, in a government-funded organisations such as the police force.
Surely they should know, considering we can see the visible effects of the cuts that you're making, you know. I mean, I go on, you know, on the streets these days, and only in specific areas you will see targeted police for a certain amount of hours, and then most of the day you won't see them.
Yeah.
And they're also like, do you know what's his name? Javed Khan. Is that his name? Sajid Khan. Javed
Yes.
Khan. I'm mentioning a Bollywood star. Javed Khan. He basically even said that, like the Switzerland system, we are going to close down police stations, and in certain boroughs or like specific, like, so let's say you have the Ealing borough, you have the Hounslow and Brentside, that area.
Oh my god. Sorry. I was just trying to no, I'm fine. I was just laughing. I was listening to what you were saying, right? But then I was trying to skip ahead so I wasn't kind of behind. I could just go straight into it. But then as I read it, I was just like, what?
What did you read?
Basically, this article just gets even worse. It just says... it's just a leave. I thought it was something. It says, alarm raised that department does not know if the police system is financially stable as more criminals escape justice.
Wow, alarm raised that department does not know if the police system is... Wow. Okay.
You know?
Oh, wow, I had to look at that 3 times to make sure that's what it was.
Like, what do you mean? What do you mean you don't know if the police force is financially stable? What do you mean you don't know how much the police... Like, what budget?
Do you think that's just... I think that's just a ridiculous title.
It is.
I mean, it doesn't give any information, and how can you say that you are not aware of what you're trying to make us aware of? You know, surely you made the cuts and then we realized that there is basically no money around to pay anyone anything extra, and that's why you're taking away the jobs from, you know, the policing when we need it. And then on top of that, you are closing down police stations and you're closing the facilities that actually give us the control.
Prisons as well.
Prisons, exact same thing. Exact same thing. Like, there's not enough caseworkers out there that go and deal with prisoners and help them in terms of development, and in, you know, even when the guarding system, is because they say they have no money. So how do the audacity they have to say we are alarmed, or there's an alarm that has been raised that we do not know, or we have been kept in the dark about where the money is going.
So basically it says here, the Home Office is in the dark about whether the cash-starved police force are in danger of running out of money.
I thought they ran out.
So apparently auditors raised the alarm about the impact of 8 years of what does that say? Austerity.
Yeah, I struggle with that.
Warning forces are experiencing financial strains and struggling to deliver effective service to the public. Well, yeah.
That's not news to us.
No shit. What do you think was going to happen if you take the money away from the departments that need it?
Do you know what? Austerity is the worst word to ever use, because when you use the word austerity, you
mean?
know that... Okay, so do you know how you have when you're prospering as a country and you're moving forward, and then that means that the country is striving, there's supply, there's sufficient demand for it, and it's engaging. When you say something like austerity, you are basically on the other end of the basically stick, and you're saying that because of the situation we've been in, sort of like, you know, this long depression that started back in 2008, was it?
Yeah.
And they're saying that because we have still not come out of it, we are now feeling the strain and the possible consequences of basically what that period led to today. So, like, for example, when the American Depression in the 1930s, that was a period they had where basically they had to do the rations, they had to do cuts, and then they had the period afterwards, which was obviously known as the booming period, and then things started surfacing from there.
Like,
I hope I got my definitions right.
The Wall Street crash and stuff like that.
The Wall Street crash, yeah.
Yes.
And that was
GCSE
literally one of the GCSEs. I'm telling you guys taught us something. You did teach us something. And think about it. I mean, why would your country be feeling depression? And like I said, social media once again wins in many ways. We
Yeah.
are now aware of what is actually been occurring. And, you
Yeah.
know, we are not just believing what the news is telling us. We know what can be the actual message behind the news because we have got that much self-awareness in us, you know?
But what more does that say about like the government is meant to be a reflection of the people, right?
Yeah.
So what
Yeah,
does that say
apparently.
about the government if the people kind of foresaw this when you were saying, yeah, we're gonna cut here, it's cool, we're just gonna cut here, and we'll just put it here, it'll be fine.
Yeah, we just-
like,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm sure the people will be cool about it. Like, what they need education and police officers on the street. Nah. London's safe, man. London's safe. Like the kids have got so much prosperity. Like we like, I know, like we used to just have kids in school from up until 16, but now we make sure they're in school up until 18. Like, come on, we're like progressing. Like here, like, we can make cuts there. Like what creative stuff? Nah. I mean they can find creative outlets other ways. Like, you know, like some people, if they're just good at rapping, like they might just rap, and you're like,
Yeah.
poets, they might just write, and like, you know, like they'll find their calling. Like
Of course.
forget culturing and nurturing it. Nah. We don't need to do that shit.
You nailed it, Corey. You nailed it. And then they wonder why we are now in an economic decline. You know, you wonder. Like, you know what? Sometimes I'm full on labor, yeah, only because like I'm from the social class in my
Yeah.
belief, and I've worked for the 10 years that I did my studies, and you have to. That is literally exactly what's happening. You call us. You pushed us into this medium where from 2008 till now we had to face all these struggles because of all the changes you guys made. But at what point did you stop making cuts?
No way.
You know, at what point? Do you know when they say we've got a university like loan, we're in a deficit for that? Why don't you just clear it?
Like,
You know?
the funniest thing is, Minnie, yeah, these people who are running a country right now, they all went to university for free, you know? Every single one of them.
Oh my God. My business teacher said to me, she goes, when I did my masters, they paid me money to do a masters, and I was like, you for real?
Yeah.
She's like, yeah.
Yeah.
And she's like, when you needed to use the NHS system, or like for example, if you were like you had a 6-week holiday during your university, anyone can claim benefits.
Yeah.
And now a couple of years ago they got rid of that system as well, that in between you're working and like leaving university, or like that 6-month holiday period, 6 weeks, you can't basically apply for anything because that's part of the sort of cuts that they're making. But what are people supposed to do in that time?
Like, did you know that if you go to university and you get a degree and then you go to the job centre to try and get a job, you cannot apply for an apprenticeship because you have a degree?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah,
What do you
you
mean?
can't.
What do you mean I can't apply
My
for
brother faced that. Literally, my brother faced that.
What do you mean I can't apply? I can work hard. You know, I just did 3 years of
I
that.
just did 3 years.
So now, like, train me and pay me to get to this job. Nah? What?
Do you know where that degree goes when you go and speak to them? It just goes up on the wall at the back.
Yeah, literally.
That is all the
'Cause
degree
a
becomes.
degree is literally just a piece of paper nowadays. There's people working in McDonald's with a degree. So what?
I know there's homeless people out there. If you speak to them, some of them are dentists. Some people are qualified. And in Brighton, when I used to speak to the homeless, there was about 3 homeless people I met, and they basically were graduated from university. And one of them had 2 of them had a law degree, and one of them had a degree in dentistry. And I sat with them and I was like, why is it that you won't go under the system? They said, we won't go under the system because the system is not being used properly. They said back in the days when the NHS came in, we need to really go back and understand what Nye Bevan was trying to say to us. When the NHS came in, it came in for the people that needed it, you know? And now we've ruined that system. And then when we ruin a system, and then the students of our generation go back, Corey, like the people that have just graduated, they screw us over. They say to us, we don't have the jobs, or sorry, you have a qualification, so you don't come under this category. So now that you don't come under this category, we're going to move you to another category, and this category will basically limit you. And the minute you start earning even a penny over this income, we will basically stop giving you the money. And what are you doing? I mean, I just got a degree, and oh, sorry, the degree wasn't enough. I got a master's. And now you're telling me that the masters is not even enough because the country hasn't got enough left for us.
Yeah.
There is nothing left. I mean, I graduated in 2014 and I got my master's in 2015. And that 1 year period where basically we needed jobs and we basically were going to get into work. When we started looking, the country said to us, to our faces, because every job, if we ever got an interview, we went to that was related to our degree, there was nothing left, you know. And then you talk about austerity. I mean, there is nothing left. I mean, there is nothing left. And now we're trying to create something.
Yeah, and it's
you know,
there's literally nothing less to the point. Where I'm from here. I was born and raised in London, but I can't afford to buy a house in London.
I don't think you're ever going to be able to.
Maybe, maybe, man. Nah, I can shoot for the stars one day.
According to the news.
Like, literally, people, like, it's funny how, like, if my parents would say to me, when they were my age, they were looking at buying a house and, like, putting into a mortgage and da-da-da. We can't even imagine that nowadays. Like, we go out and we look to rent because renting is the currency nowadays in the living arrangement.
Pretty much, yeah. That is the currency that we run by today.
Yeah, because all these landlords are buying up houses, turning them into flats and renting them out.
Yeah.
Making more money. I would do the same, not gonna lie. Because, I mean, the money you can pay off your own mortgage and the mortgage on that house just by them renting it out. I only know this because I work in property.
Yeah.
I look at it, but the market is absolutely crazy. Like, literally, I showed a house in it was about 5 seconds away from Shoreditch High Street station.
Yeah.
It was £950,000
Fuck my life.
for a 2-bedroom flat in a new build.
What was the down payment? Tell me what the down payment was for a single person to actually go for something like that.
I don't look at that.
That's the thing. Like, the down payment is so ridiculous that you just can't afford it. Who was it the other day? Russell Brand. Not Russell Brand. Who's that guy? Russell Howard. Yeah. He says on his show, he said a couple of weeks, or I think about a few months ago, he said for the next 50 years, the statistics that have come out basically after the budget was done proves that our generation that is sort of supposed to climb the housing ladder will not be able to mortgage a house. And on top of that, our parents are probably still paying off their mortgage.
It's true.
And we are expecting mortgages to just randomly appear for us. You know? I mean, they've started this recent project, the housing project, which in almost every other, like, within boroughs of their constituencies, they are making houses right now.
Yeah, the community housing project. The government just set up, I was talking about it a couple of months ago maybe with Yossi.
Yeah.
There was, the government set up the community housing fund for anyone who wants to set up a community house. They said the problems before was that they would have to try and get funding or loans so they could get the houses built and stuff like that, but it was hard for them because no one wants to give them money, so the government decided that they're good, because I think there was a community in Yorkshire that kind of their petrol station was going out of business, so all the people in the community helped to keep the petrol station running. And then it was to the point where, like, the reason why it was in the news is because they had a school in one of their towns that has, I think, about 10 pupils left in the school. The school has the capacity for more, but the reason why there's so little children there is because the houses that are surround around the school are so high priced that families that would be looking to go to that school can't afford to buy houses near enough to the school to go to the school. And the people that do live in the houses are probably richer people that maybe, or couples or single people that don't have children, or older people that don't have children. And, you know, it affects things, you know?
It definitely does. Do you know what? Talking about housing makes me remember the tree. We've spoken about this. Talked about it earlier. Landlords.
Yeah.
Can I use this word or do I have to like censor it?
We'll swear if you want.
Yeah, it's basically they're absolute cunts.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they are wondering why the housing market is so effed up, and they don't understand that landlords are absolute assholes.
Yeah.
And it's because they have become so greedy. They took money, and then they didn't do renting the proper way, and they didn't allow the market to grow. And because we sort of gave into it so much and the system got abused, it's come to a point, Corey, that we cannot expect mortgages to just randomly appear, because the treatment that landlords gave their, the people that were living there, and how that developed led to, that's one of the main reasons I think we're in a housing crisis, and that we've had this big market crash, And I don't know if you've got an article on it.
I had an article on landlords getting caught on camera demanding sex in return for free rent.
That is news to me. That is news to me. You said it earlier, and I was surprised.
Yeah, it says here that 2 sex for rent landlords were caught on camera demanding sex from prospective female tenants in return for free bills and Wi-Fi.
Wow.
They were exposed on the undercover sting by a BBC journalist after they posted an advert on Craigslist seeking sexual favours in exchange for free place to live. The men, both from Bristol, offered to waiver the rent, cover the bills, and even expenses if they could sleep with a girl half their age about once a week.
Wow. I don't know if I should humor this. I do not know if I should humor this. I feel the desperation.
My opinion means nothing, man.
Yeah, literally means my days.
It's,
Trust me.
I mean, there's this video here.
Do you know what? When I see that, why is it that a part of me thinks I completely understand that? I can see why this is happening.
Yeah.
It's absolute disgust, but you are making it so difficult for us to pay our money that at one point we start doing this.
Yeah. It's
a form of entrapment.
It's kind of, this is the lengths that people would go to just have a place to live.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, these are just two landlords that have been caught. I'm pretty sure there's plenty
so
of them out there that are just doing this.
So many.
There's
even properties that are being left empty, like rich people are buying it and then they're sort of just leaving it empty, and they allow people to like live there, and on the basis that basically women do get abused in those places, but they can't say anything. That scares me. That really does scare me. And like, I'm not surprised, because at one point it just sounds hilarious. And you have to just sort of brush past it and say, okay, this is basically the lifestyle that we have right now. Where these things are appearing on news, and we are supposed to say it's appropriate, or it's okay to say okay to this, and it's not.
It's not. But
it's not at all.
But a lot of the time it feels like the news is kind of catching up with us, like they're posting shit, and I'm reading articles. I'm like, well, no shit. Like, what did you think was gonna happen? Like Brexit is the most controversial bullshit thing that is maybe not gonna possibly. I read this article about how it might happen in November this year.
I want to say that, but she's asked for more time, and she's been refused more time.
But basically, I was reading that the EU is basically, because I was on another episode, I was reading like the process of what everything's going to go through for the EU, and basically they're meant to have their first attempt to negotiate this possible deal in November, and the EU want to get this settled, done and dusted from November. Like, they want no problems in it, but May's obviously saying like, we need more time. So like, there's going to be one in November, then there's another one in January, and then they're going to have a summit, and then this and basically that, bare summits, and then summit for a summit. And
do you know what I'm thinking? Corey, at one point, right, this bitch is never going to give up. At one point, right, isn't EU going to make a decision? Isn't EU going to make a decision to say, do you know what, cut the crap? and they're going to probably sit down in the back room and they're going to be like, okay, this is really not working out and I really don't know what the hell I'm doing. And I think we need to start basically making terms, have more meetings in the background, and start thinking about how we can still be part of the EU but not be part of the EU. Do you see what I mean?
That's exactly what the Miss May wants to do, man.
Yeah.
But you can't do that shit, man.
And then what will she say? Well, this is what the country wanted. And I will say, well, do you know what? I'll be like, my opinion clearly doesn't mean anything to you, because that's why a lot of people didn't vote. Like, whose freaking votes are you counting this shit on, man? Like, we didn't even sign up for this, you know. Those who really didn't wanna, and they were not well informed.
Yeah.
Like, she bloody clearly wasn't well informed.
No, literally, this is how Brexit came about.
Yeah.
One day, we were watching the news.
I can see where this might be going, yeah.
Literally, it was this is it. It was one day we were watching the news. Suddenly, they were talking about Brexit. Everyone was like, "What's Brexit?"
What's Brexit?
But no, they never gave us no information
Yeah.
about what Brexit was. They were just like Brexit. Like it was
yeah.
like whispers, like Brexit.
That's
Brexit.
it.
And
Oh my god.
and then,
Oh my god,
then
that's so true.
two twos, there's a vote, and you were like, but okay, but what are we actually voting for? Don't worry.
Yeah, don't worry.
Like they like. In my head,
this is what the country wants.
yeah, this is what
you know?
in my head I have it believing that they thought like okay, cool. The people are gonna vote for us to remain in.
Yeah.
But because they clearly had no plan, because it's like going into battle, yeah, and having no strategy of what if that plan fails.
Exactly. And they had people like Boris Johnson push it forward to the extent where the minute Brexit happened, he said, oh shit, and he basically already had the position foreign secretary ready for him.
And then there was
the slyness.
Man like David Cameron, like clearly he had no idea. He thought we were gonna remain, and he thought what? He was like, what?
I never thought I'd miss him.
Leave?
I never thought.
I have never heard or seen of David Cameron again since that day of Brexit. He just dipped. Theresa May took over, and now Theresa May will champion Brexit. But really, please believe it was David Cameron's champion dream,
man.
and his death of his prime ministership.
I swear. I mean, I'm not lying. Yeah, looking at May makes me wanna like say, "Yo, Cameron, man, come back. There must be a clause for this shit." You know, only because he cried. Like, I don't have mercy for no one when they tears, like politicians' tears. Yeah, but he cried in his speech because he gave us the information that we needed to know to remain.
Yeah.
You know,
He did.
He did. Like, even when BBC, for example, would not actually air at any point that there was 10,000 people outside protesting for the Remain, and they were not showing any news about Remain on TV.
No, there wasn't.
And the news about, for fuck's sakes, I mean, for the news about Brexit or like exit or whatever the shit it is, you know, that they still haven't defined properly, and it's because they were not going to push that forward. And then we cannot be surprised that we're in this thing which they're still trying to work out what it is because when we voted, we were not well informed, or the people that needed the information that did try their best, and those that weren't informed didn't vote. And then you are now going on the basis of regional votes that came through.
And the vote came through, and they were just like, well, cool, right, all right. So we're leaving, yeah? Right, here's the information.
Here's the information.
We're like, what? What do you mean? Oh shit! Like this could have happened. This could have happened. Oh, you mean we're not sure about it? Like
they checkmated us without telling us what all the moves were on the chess, you know, and they just bombarded us with everything and nothing at the same time.
Yeah.
And now, should we be surprised? We shouldn't be surprised because this is the kind of shit that it came.
It's a backlash.
It's a big backlash. And you know what? That's where I will counter them saying that we are in austerity, because they have done the biggest backlash that we've witnessed in a very long time. And the fact that we were never, no one ever knew that was coming. It just sort of came to it. That's why I said it's sort of like checkmate. And now we have to go through this backlash. And the thing is, we're rebelling.
Yeah.
A lot of places are rebelling, and we're not going to stop, because we know that at some point, I know it might sound bad, but I support the police system, and I support the fact that they should get paid, and I want people to be safe on the roads, and for that reason the right people basically are coming around, and really strongly coming around and saying, shut the fuck up, man, like you fed us enough bullshit that comedians have now made millions and millions of money because of the bullshit that everything's feeding us, And now we're trying to take things seriously, and at some point we are trying to say the law has to be with us. You have to understand that people are the voice, you know. You need to understand that you're calling yourself a democracy. We are not in a fucking democracy. We were always a capitalist country, and in a capitalist country you can't have full democracy, especially if you're the world capital, you know, and that's been taken away. So ask yourself the question of, my opinion matters or my opinion means nothing, because I'm trying to still work out my opinion means, and the more I work it out, the more I'm understanding that enough of this bullshit, man. And if we really don't push our weights up and just continuously make them realize that, for example, for us, through creativity, we are trying to move forward and we're trying to show you a completely different strand to how the world is working today, then you're gonna have to listen to us at some point. And you can't freaking run away, man. Like, you can't run away. The worst that will happen now is going to be sort of, I think in foreseeable future we might have military strategies, you know, that might come forth. And mean, that's the thing we need to really make sure doesn't happen. We've seen it in all the movies. We've seen it in all the fucking movies, man. I mean, The Handmaid's Tale, man, that really scared the shit out of me, you know. And I was like, there's a Gilead. There's a fucking Gilead. Yeah, and all the women do not have rights, you know? Apart from the rich. And I was like, that's disturbed. Do you know what? These sort of futuristic things don't just come from nowhere. Yeah. They're coming from people's imaginations, and in a sense we're being made aware of the possible outcomes that can be out there, you know? Yeah. Independent 100%. Film markets and stuff.
But oh my gosh. What time are we on?
Yeah, he's still going.
Okay, cool. So, that's, how many news articles? We've done like 3?
I think we've done about 3.
Let's do like this comical one at the end. So, Domino's regrets telling customers they'll get 100 years of pizza if they tattoo themselves.
Do you know what? Not gonna lie, yeah, Corey, I'm gonna stop you there. If they could give me Domino's, oh my days.
You know?
Wow.
So basically, Domino's Pizza have done a U-turn on a promotion that they promised free pizza for life to anyone who got a tattoo of their logo.
I would get it, and then after I got all the pizzas, I will remove it, man.
So it says the Russian brand of the fast food company promised those that got the ink would get 100 free pizzas for the next 100 years.
Oh, wow. Because they're never going to live that long.
But you know, but it would appear the brand were not expecting so many people to take part as quickly as they did.
Oh my god. They have 500 branches. Are they freaking serious?
So they then changed their promotion to the first 350 people within the day that it goes live.
Wow.
Then get it. So here's some of the tattoos that people got.
Oh wow.
And there's
that was it.
This one.
Okay, that's pretty cool. That just looks like the Dominoes, isn't it?
Dominoes.
Like the Dominoes, yeah, the game. Okay.
Donatello.
Donatello's the perfect one.
Is there another one? This one?
Okay, interesting. Freebie. Oh my god, does it actually say, what does it say? Oh, prisoner freebie. Prisoner of freebie. That took me a while to like just organize in my head.
Oh, that's fucking hilarious. Prisoner of freebie.
Oh my god, are these like the winners?
These are some of the people, who got down to...
Oh, wait, that's not Domino's sign, is it? Why is she showing her tattoo?
Oh, she's got 2 legs, isn't it? These are 2.
I thought there were 3 legs in total, because they look a little bit different.
And this is his 2 and her 2, I guess.
Oh, wow, this is special. Would you?
I mean, for free pizza.
Oh, my God. Let's go through that ink. Oh, my God.
Actually...
But wait, they stopped it to 350.
Yeah. But actually, I would if I wasn't allergic to... ink.
Oh, how do you know you're allergic to ink?
Because I went away on holiday to Spain or something. I got a henna tattoo.
Oh yeah.
And it, I had an allergic reaction to it. It passed up really badly. Then I went to the doctors when I came back to the UK. They skin grafted and everything. They checked. They could see they tested. They could find some of the chemicals that were still in my arm. What they tested, they said that because some of the chemicals that are in henna tattoos are also in real tattoos.
Yeah.
And I was lucky to just have my arm just pass out, I guess.
Yeah.
So if I was to get a real tattoo, it could be much worse. Like I don't know what could happen.
But you know the ink that, there's quite a few people that I know about 2 or 3 people that have had that reaction to henna because girls put it on in general, isn't it? And they've had reactions, but I've known one of them to get a tattoo and but she just had to get her medical records.
Yeah,
so you can try, man. You can try the Domino's tattoo, man.
I would just rather not, you know, because it was the pain, and then it scarred up, and then like I still see the tattoo that I had from when I was like 12, 13 years old, you know. About 10 years ago. It's still the imprint in my arm, so
I would, if I knew of that, man, I would think I might go for it. But do you know what? There should be like a number on the screen that tells me how many people have already done it. So I've got like 2 seconds to think. I'd be like, oh, okay, I've only got about 2 seconds. Okay, it's already done. Okay, bye. That would be crazy.
But now, I guess I will go on to my interview of you, Minnie.
That's the stage.
Yeah. Well, my version of the interview anyway. I don't know how other people interview. So I guess I will start with your name. Split Mind Poet. Where does it come from?
Okay, I shall tell you as soon as this plane has gone past us. That's part of the Split Mind. Yeah, it's interesting because I think I explained it once in my Instagram IGTV.
No, you did.
Yeah.
There's a poem that you've written about it.
Yeah. And I did a really strange, bizarre poem about it as well, and it sort of summarized the stages of what I've gone through. So basically, like in 2016, I was diagnosed with epilepsy, which I didn't have. I still don't. But what happened was I got the side effects of it, and I developed severe anxiety. And around the same time, there was a lot of shit going on in my life, and I was just sort of coming out of my master's, and I realized that I had developed a serious illness, and it's not going away anytime soon. And I just completely lost my mind in terms of I couldn't remember anything and my life and my existence the 23 years before. And in terms of my education, everything sort of drained out of me. And I realized, okay, I don't know what's going on. All of a sudden, I cannot face anything. I had an adjustment disorder. And it took me 3 years to get out of it. And by then, I realized I had developed sort of 2 senses of my mind. One that was before the age of 23, and now the other one that I'm sort of surfacing right now. And I was like, wow, you're a poet, but like you have a split mind. And I said that to myself. And I was like, there's no going away from it. I looked at myself one day in the mirror and I said to myself, there's no going away from this until it genuinely does go away and you find the equilibrium between the two. You're a split mind poet. And you know, there's so much that is linked to both sides of the life journey that I've had for being selfless for the first 23 years of my life, and now understanding what self-love is. I'm trying to unravel both sides of the story, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful that I can show that through my poetry, and people really understand it. And I have a different technique of, and style of writing. And I think people get it, and there's an audience out there for stuff like that.
I like your style. It's different. It's different and interesting. Especially like that Split Mind poem that you wrote about yourself. I was just like, I kind of get it. It's like kind of, I'm trying to turn it into an actual word, but it's kind of like.
For me, it's like all the different dimensions you have to cross, Like, do you know I say a word through anxiety?
That's what I was about to say.
It's so intense, that when you start like trying to level all these things that are going on inside you until you feel a little bit free from a thought that's been fucking killing you, and you're like, okay, so this is what happens next. Okay, then this happens, and then this happens, and then all of a sudden split mind poet exists everywhere because you've got this weird universal understanding of something.
Yeah.
And now I'm just all around, and I think to myself, wow, like there is so much to learn about me, and if people really understand themselves in that perspective and understand, you know, what the message of the universe is that's sending out to them, you would realize how beautiful it is to be tuned with yourself.
Yeah.
And that's what I've practiced since I was like 14. I started with meditation, and I was always that curious child that would get the beats because I would always rebel in an Indian family. And I didn't give, you know, at one point I realized I just don't give a fuck about this stupid form of living, materialistic living that we formed. When people need to get real, you know, they need to be with it.
Yeah.
And I'm with it, man, like, you know, as much as I can be, you know, and every day I'm basically trying my best.
I remember when it happened for me.
Go on.
When I was in a relationship in my second year of university, and then I think towards the end of my university, I think the last month of uni, we broke up, and then I was just like, fuck it, you know what? Fuck this, like fuck what people think.
Yeah.
What everyone else
I
thinks.
swear.
I'ma do me, and I'ma live life and have fun, you know. And since that moment on, and I haven't looked back, and I've just been like so much. I feel like I'm more real than I was before.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I see so much more bullshit nowadays. And unlike other people, I enjoy drama. Well, I enjoy drama when I can control it.
Exactly. Oh my days. Yeah. Oh my God.
When I'm aware of what's happening and someone's trying to cause some kind of shit, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, it's fine. I'll just play along because I know what's going to happen.
There you go. Yeah.
And I'll just have
you know
fun with
next,
it.
You when you're so real with things, you almost know what the next step is going to be. And you know when to like draw yourself out. Do you know what? I'm at the early stages of not giving a fuck and just thinking about myself, because I've just recently, you know, started teaching myself what self-love means. And you know what I love and I appreciate is that the people I'm meeting these days, I mean, they're at different levels of not giving a fuck and the realness that they're at, and that I can learn so much from these people, that, and then when I bring it back to myself, I'm like, okay, this is my realness, and like, you know, and it's freaking hell, it feels amazing, man. It feels amazing. Is this what it feels like?
It feels like like so much is like loosened from you, because you're just like, I'm not worried about that bullshit anymore.
I swear.
Like it's do you know, like a lot of the time when people they leave a lot of things on you. When they tell you a story about something, they want you to kind of want this to hang on you, and you to think about it, or you to it's maybe it's not maybe intentional,
but they do it.
They do it,
and then now it's not just theirs anymore. You know,
it's yours now, it's ours.
Exactly.
And now we need to
and we shift, and we don't realize that when we are with someone, we are within two energies, and that energy is coming onto us, and that frequency that we're vibing with is going to affect us at some point. And when it freaking affects us, then we go back, and then we're sort of all fucked up in the head, and we're thinking stuff that we really don't want to think about, and it comes to a point where you think to yourself, is this my shit? Like, should I give a fuck? Like, is it even like my problem? And why is this? Okay, this person's told me, but I know this person is not level-headed with their own shit. Then why the fuck should I give a shit about their shit? So I'm like, do you know what? Fuck it. I'm not gonna give a damn, because it's not mine. And I'm learning this the really hard way, Corey. Like, I'm literally that, because I'm one of those people where I've been unconditional to a lot of everyone that's come in my life for the last 12 years, and to understand the difference between self-love and being selfless for someone at the right time, and basically being selfish and giving self-love. You know, I run away from the concept of people that are very selfish, because I don't think that's a good energy to be around, you know, and I don't want to put that inside me. And there's more people out there that do the exact, you know.
Do you know, like, I don't know about, I'm always on a positive vibe, right?
I wish I could do that.
I have positive vibes all the time. Where did my lighter go? Oh, okay.
Okay, I'm known as the lighter thief. Like with some people, they know. I always tell people I steal lighters, so be careful.
Okay, I will do. Like, but yeah, I live positive vibes only all the time. Like, literally 100% of the time. Like, literally, I have no negative thoughts a lot of the time. Like,
Wow.
because like for me, it takes so much energy to be negative, or like
Yeah.
than it does to just smile and just be happy, or in my head most of the time what I do to rationalize these situations, I say, well, when I go into something where maybe I could get angry,
Yeah.
I'm just like, well, there's worse things happening in the world, you know. And if I get angry here, what is it gonna solve?
That is so true.
It's cool.
It's 100%. I
It's
agree.
like, you know, like, or so you took my last, it's cool, it's fine,
It's
man.
cool, man. Yeah, yeah.
But the problem is, when I'm always on positive vibes only, that day when I do snap,
it's
whew,
oof.
I feel sorry for that
yeah.
person
Oh,
when
my
I do
days.
get angry. I remember the last time I got angry at someone, and I was upset because I was
Never.
arguing with someone that was the type of person that doesn't let you talk. Like,
Yeah.
so like I was trying to do my amp, and then she was like, da 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 da. I was like, but like before that, the best time was like school. Like, I hadn't been angry for time.
Yeah.
Like, and then we went on Duke of Edinburgh Awards.
I lost it on Duke of Edinburgh.
I lost
Oh,
it because
my days.
I knew where I was going. I was a great map
Yeah.
person. This person was shit at the map.
Mm.
Like, everyone was taking turns. Somehow he gets us lost, and he was like, no, don't worry, guys, it's this way. I'm looking at the map, orientate, and I was like, it's not that way, but okay, bro, let's follow your way. We end up following his way, we end up lost. And then he's just like, oh, what? So no, it's just this way, I'm pretty sure. And I was like, nah, bro, what are you talking about?
You're the fucking leader for a reason. Otherwise, we would have been given that job. Oh my days.
But,
I've
yeah.
been in the leader position,
Gee,
Corey, and
dear
I'm
me,
not
respect.
lying. I snapped at my own team player because she was slowing us down.
Yeah, exactly.
And there was
that.
only so much I could take.
And that was
You
more
know?
of it is like if you orientate and you get lost, then
Yeah.
it kind of cuts down times of daylight.
Yeah.
And when you're trying to walk, if you haven't made your campsite
Yeah.
and it starts to get too dark, you
You're
just have
screwed,
to,
man.
You have to pitch where you are.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah. Literally, you have no choice.
And you didn't even make the checkpoint, you know. And
Yeah.
it's all mad.
Like I'm one of those people. I was really driven in high school, and like up until I was like about good like 19, 20, I was really driven. So when they made me the leader, I'm a natural born leader, so that's all chilling, you know. And when they make me the leader, and then do you know when people around you are letting you down, and you think to yourself, I was an absolute bitch. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, I did came to a point where literally I was putting someone down because they weren't doing it. You know, they didn't train themselves. They weren't listening, you know, at the right time, and they were using stupid excuses like I'm out of breath, I'm out of breath, I'm out of breath every 5 minutes. And then you're thinking to yourself, as a leader, I'm gonna charge you up, I'm gonna motivate you, but I'm gonna cut you out of your crap as well at the same time. And that sort of level of build up over, like, let's say when I did the bronze training, 11 kilometers going, 11 kilometers coming,
that's when it
and you know the sun, you know the peak point when the sun goes down.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, like I really can't take it anymore. Like at one point, like these people are really gonna get on my nerves. And you're like, okay, I've only done 10 kilometers and we have 1 kilometer to go. And I really need to push my people, but now they're really like getting on my nerves. You really get tested in that point,
Yeah.
you know, and you've got it the right way. But my snaps, when nowadays I snap, oh my God, people don't realize how much I kept my calm for a very long time.
Yeah, you know.
And then when I snap, you know I'm going to get real with you, and I'm going to get so real
Yeah.
that you are not going to be able to handle my realness.
You know?
You are going to literally think to yourself, why or even what?
Why did we
excuse, yeah, bitch, you will not know what to say.
And it's worse because I'm a quiet observer, because I'm watching you all the time. Like,
Yeah.
especially when I go into new situations or anything, I'm watching, I know everything, and I've picked up everything. So then when it comes to formula, I'm not even thinking, it just flows.
It just goes,
It
yeah, it just
flows.
goes. And then I will give you want to give me breathing time. I was like, I gave you so much breathing time,
Yeah.
and you didn't get the points. So I'm just gonna lay it down to you the way it is, how it is, and whether you like it or not. When I snap like this, what I really mean is I'm fucking done with your shit.
Yeah.
And there's no coming back from it, you know. And do you know what I call that? It's a process of internalization.
Yeah.
You internalize everything to a point where it just snap, with
Yeah.
you get that light bulb moment, and then you're like, okay, I've had enough, And I'm not gonna lie, I get such a sense of relief afterwards.
Yeah, it feels
You know?
amazing. I'm just like, oh, where did that come
I was
from?
like, yeah, man, I'm so impressed with myself at that point,
But then-
Corey.
but the thing is, for me, because I'm so positive all the time, then because I feel that as a negative thing, I
Yeah.
will feel so bad. I feel the negative shift.
Corey, do you know when you
or-
feel the negative shift?
Yeah.
You have to say to yourself, should I really have to blame myself?
Oh no, I don't blame
At all,
myself.
yeah.
No, that's cool.
So where is that negative feeling bad
It's
coming from?
it's
And how
just
do you deal with that?
how do I just like I don't know. I just wait until it subsides, and when I chill out, then it goes away. But
Yeah.
it's like, I just mean like I can feel. It's weird. I feel negative energy when it walks in the room.
Same here.
In the space
Yeah,
of
yeah,
me. It's weird. Oh, that.
I know what you mean.
So
Yeah.
that kind of feeling when you feel negative energy come through, I feel that.
Yeah.
But it's kind of more of like I'm not usually like this, so it's kind of like my body is kind of, I don't know. It's kind of in this battle. Like you're not usually at this point. You're usually more chilled, so it's
Yeah.
like fighting to be more chilled again. So then,
Okay, that's interesting. I used to get told, like, basically, if I didn't feel a vibe with someone, the thing is, when you feel a vibe, that means there's something very real about these two people, and it's supposed to create that natural energy around you.
Yeah.
The minute you feel something really heavy or uneasy inside you, you're like, hang on a minute,
Yeah.
who is around me, what is around me, and I really need to think about this. And that's when you have to really take yourself out of the situation. So those energy levels really do mean something. Are we still on the first question?
Yeah, we are. The next.
Man, you asked a very interesting question. You asked me why split mind poet.
Yeah, man. Like, it gets real in depth. Like, I was gonna ask before I go for that, what inspired you to start writing?
Okay, what inspired me? Well, I wrote poems when I was around 13, 14.
Okay.
And
Is
my
that when you
teachers-
first
yeah.
started writing?
No, that's when I used to like write. Okay, no, in my diary, when I started my first philosophical diary it was called Mini's Philosophical Diary, and it basically started when I was about between the age of 14 onwards,
Okay.
and it's the oldest one I have, and it's basically the kind of the understanding. Wait, what was the question so I don't forget?
What inspired you to start writing?
So when I used to write, I realized that I kind of felt like I was different from other people,
Yeah.
and I felt like there was a way that I address things and understand things that are beyond people's understanding today. And because I was sort of like growing and maturing at such a like speed in my head, I realized that at one point my mind is going to explode if I don't find a way to interact with these things.
An outlet.
Yeah, an outlet. And for me, my outlet basically became writing, and I started sort of writing like intensively in my diaries. But my diaries are sort of like, okay, I'm not like being egotistical, but like, you know how Darwin wrote about his voyage?
Yeah.
I would write about my philosophical understanding about different things from like the grassroots level of it.
Okay. Yeah.
It's because I did intellectual history in my master's as well, so that sort of adds and caters into it.
Yeah, that
And
makes
so
sense.
now when I see, why I write the way I write, and when did I start, all of this, when I put it together, I'm thinking, I've forgotten the question again.
What inspired you to start writing?
What inspired me is me.
Yeah.
I realized you have so much potent. You have a way of delivering things to this world. You are challenging everything on the go, and you're one of those people who wants to basically do a PhD about a relevant topic of today's generation, and you're trying to send a very strong message across out there. And once I've conquered my mental health, I'm gonna go so many different places, and I was like, wow, I'm so ambitious. I don't want to stop. Why should I stop? So I'm going to continue doing it, Corey. And I love it. I mean, that drive drives you towards the people that are equally being driven on that level with you.
Yeah.
And you're continuously vibing with the universe.
Exactly that.
Like I say, I've gone beyond monotone. I'm now just basically climbing different waves, and it's beautiful.
Whoa.
It's absolutely beautiful, and
That
I'm
was
not
a
going to
beautiful
stop,
metaphor,
man.
Minnie.
I am not going to stop.
That was a beautiful metaphor. That was.
Thank you. Yes, this is beautiful. It is. But what inspired you, if you don't mind me asking?
I don't know, if I'm deadly honest. I just started writing.
Okay.
I generally, and literally, same with poems. Sometimes I finish I write poems. Like, do you know that poem I posted called Social Presence, right?
Yeah.
Do you know how long it took me to come up with a title? I finished writing the poem and I read it so many times. I was like, what?
You weren't writing a dissertation, man.
No, literally, I just write things sometimes and I just don't know what to call them. It just comes out of me.
It just comes
and
out.
It feels like it's weird. It feels like it's weird to say, but I feel like I'm possessed when I'm writing.
I feel do you know what? I feel the pinnacle, like center point of what you just said. I feel it. Because do you ever feel you're possessed? Have you watched Winchester by any chance?
Possibly.
Okay, anyways, the woman just gets possessed, by a medium, and she draws out the architecture of the room that she needs to design, and that's it, she snaps out of it. And I feel when I read my words back, I'm surprised myself, I'm like, holy shit, that is another level of profound understanding. And if I try doing it again, it ain't gonna happen, because I literally felt possessed at that point, and I didn't snap out of it until I really snapped out of it.
And it's I don't know, sometimes I write things and it doesn't actually make any sense to me.
Yeah.
But then it makes sense to other people. I was just like, what?
Yeah.
But I was just like, if it doesn't make any sense to me, how did it come from me?
Yeah. It's a question. Honestly, I ask myself that question all the time. But then I get to read my words back, because I had that explosion, and I have to read my words back to really understand it as well.
I'm coming with the better question. I guess
Okay, go on.
The question should have been, what made you take poetry serious?
What made me... Actually, that's a slightly more narrow question. Okay. Yeah. So, what made me take poetry seriously? Well, I had my favourite poet in A-levels, which was Wilfred Owen and John Keats. Cool. So I read them quite a lot. And then when I was around in April time this year, I actually started writing poems again, because I hadn't written poetry for a really long time, for years and years. And my mate Manjinder, so Script Index, that's the guy. And yeah, man, big up to Manjinder. I've known him since year 7.
Oh shit, that's so cool.
And basically, he used to go to PW, and he was part of it for about a year.
Okay.
And I was sort of battling my health at the time, and he kept saying, oh, do you want to come here? Do you want to come here? Back then, if I look back, I can't even remember where he was inviting me. And then one day, all of a sudden, I came down to PW. And I was like, no shit. I was like, all right, this stuff is happening nowadays. People are actually being creative. Oh my God, there's a place for it in West London, and it's right under my nose. And I was like, all right, I'm in, man, I'm in. And by then I had already established my Facebook page, and it was interesting the way I was doing it, but all new to me, man. And that's it. I basically wrote every single day from there onwards. And even the days I couldn't write, I was thinking. And when I was thinking, I was like, okay, I'm going to write the next day. So it was wicked.
Yeah.
And I haven't stopped since then, man. I really haven't stopped.
That's amazing.
Wow. So, that is the perfect narrow question.
Yeah. No, it only came up closely. I only discovered what the question was as you asked me the same question back, and I was just like, hang on. If anyone wants to really find out anything, that's not the question.
That's not the question. That is not the question.
My next question would be, how far do you want to take your poetry? Because you do say you're can't think of the word. You said it. You want to take your stuff far,
to the next
level.
next level. So I I'm going to speak about this because hopefully no one finds out I spoke about this. Wait. Okay, so I've signed a contract for an anthology, which I am going to be working on, but that's just one thing. And the way I want to take it forward is I want to write a book.
What kind of anthology is it?
It's okay. Basically, it's an anthology of Asian poets, but the irony is it's from poets from India or around that area, and I'm the only London poet. But it's because the publisher is a really, really good friend of mine now, and we met through Instagram, and he adores me. So
that's cool.
yeah. So that when that opportunity came my way, I thought to myself, Minnie, like you've got 3 book titles that you can easily, like, you're working on in your head, and you need to just start writing it down on paper. So once I get my discipline, I'm going to start basically working on those books, and in the meantime I'm going to find like the perfect outlets for a book like that. And so with my poetry, I want to sort of take it that way, but send a, how do I say it, a very real message out there to people, and a sort of guide as well, to get a level of understanding about how to get yourself out of shit that the world gives you. And the other one, I don't know, I'm sort of playing with this idea. Aaron James mentioned storybooks.
Yeah, I want to do a children's book, 100%.
And basically, we have these creative meetups in Hounslow, and it's with some good people out there, and we attend the conferences that go around. And someone in one of the creative meetups mentioned they had already written a storybook, and they were showing it to us, and they did it through like poetry underneath. And you flick through the pages, and it's basically all this kid loses his dog, or no, the dog loses his owner, and he's basically trying to channel himself all the way through London, but he comes through different obstacles and like is dealt with through poetry. And it's really beautiful. And I was like thinking, do you know what, it's not about just our generation, the future generation, and the few that are a couple of years below us. It's not even about them anymore, because we're doing this shit anyways. It's really about what we're going to end up teaching to people as the kids that are growing up.
Exactly.
Because okay, we get affected by what's going around us in the world, and right now kids are really not learning the right stuff via curriculum and the shit that probably racist fucking people are teaching them, out there, like there's Trump obviously. Then I'm thinking, hang on a minute, we have to start thinking about the kids of our generation,
it's
like the
very
really
true.
young ones. And if we don't, they're in trouble, but we're probably going to be in more trouble. So definitely a kids book. And then I have so many other ideas as well that I want to work on. So there's quite a lot. I feel like I should have my own business with my own name, like patented, and like people should come, like I am the branch that people branch out of. And it's because I know the shit and I can do the shit, and I can really push you out for the same things, and create a network, like a web network for myself. And when I say web, I mean the
Web of
IT
people.
term web, not the social media term web. And it's that bow and arrow effect, isn't it, in when you do Webster. And it's basically you are at the root of a channel that you are trying to process. And because I can see there is enough medium and there is enough data and content out there in this, like around the people I've seen and I've met, and I know these things are possible. And if you really tie down together some of the elements that we have going on around us at the moment, you can really find a standard procedured way to make yourself a representative of something very big out there, and you start creating movements. And movements are what we need to start creating, and it's going to start from the individual,
Yeah, of course.
So these are the things that with poetry I want to start doing. Creativity more than poetry, Corey, I'd say. There's more questions.
Yeah, do you think there's an importance to children learning poetry at school?
I mean, the thing is, it's not, I wouldn't say poetry. I would say the idea of being creative as a child.
Okay.
Yeah, and that comes through so many different ways. If we're not fully bound, if we have a curriculum, we're bound to, but to add something like that to the curriculum. And I think that's going to be beneficial.
I mean, they do have poetry in the curriculum, but it's not. It's you learn about all these poets that's in the anthology.
That are anthology, and it's old poetry.
It's old, yeah, but it's because of who's the what's it, poet laureate?
Yeah.
I can't remember who it is, but I can't remember her name. I would love to be poet laureate. That'd be awesome. Could you imagine? You get to choose.
Give me a poem or something of hers that I can think about.
I can't think of the name. Oh, I'm gonna have to look it up. That's why we have Google, right?
Yeah, that is exactly why we have Google.
Who is?
Oh my god, that was so strong.
Oh, yeah, you go. You know. Oh, we have a new one. Poet laureate. A poet laureate. No. Oh, sorry. We should. UK current. Sorry. I just typed in poet laureate and like this black lady came around. I was like, what? That's the UK?
You sure you're on Google?
Oh no, it's currently Andrew Motion and Carol Ann Duffy.
Oh my god.
Carol Ann Duffy is the current poet laureate. So, yeah, she's the current.
Interesting.
She is still the poet laureate. She was poet laureate when we were in school.
Wow, she was in my anthology. She was in my exam. She was in my head.
Oh, she's been poet laureate since 2009.
Okay.
So it's only been about 10 years.
10 years. Wow. When does the job change? Okay, so poetry, the way that we learn poetry is through what English literature means and what they think English language means. Yeah. Sorry, I have to say it in that exact way.
Pretty much.
And I think that they need to allow children to be creative and imaginative with their minds, where they can start constructing, through poetry, they can start constructing ideas that make sense and then that are relevant to today. Yeah. Like we said earlier, like why aren't we talking about today? Why isn't today existing in our in our curriculum?
Why do we learn like things that are taught to the same people 50, maybe even more years ago? Exactly. Why are we still learning about that shit now?
Exactly.
When what the world has changed drastically. You know, why are we not learning about this?
That's not even an understatement.
Why is there not a subject in school called current affairs, you know?
Current affairs, exactly. Or like I said, why isn't there a module in university that should be called the present day?
Yeah,
and you learn about yesterday, the day after, and you find out, wow, it's changed again. Okay, what's happening on the present day? We don't, and if we keep teaching people like through history, we're going to forget to like create a very well written history for ourselves. Yeah. And like I said, man, if it has to start under a system like a school, then start doing it properly. And poetry has become so prominent. I went to Slough Empowered the other day.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
And and I spoke there, and guess what, right? I performed just like a standard poem I wrote over 2 days, and I was like, I'll write for the audience type, and you know, I can't memorize stuff anyways. And I went there, and so many like people between the age of I think 10 and 14 or like 12 and 14 performed. Oh my days. I literally had to like they got bars. Oh my God, bars, Solomon's words, they've got bars. And you know what? At one point my jaw dropped. And I was the last person who stopped my clap because my jaw dropped.
It's because they don't have the filter that we have as adults. Like,
there you go.
They just drop bars.
They drop bars so heavy that people in the audience are like, the adults are clicking fingers, and you're like thinking, yeah, man, you trust me, these guys are with it. They're getting it. And I was like thinking, wow, this is a generation that we're seeing that's coming forward.
Do you know what the funniest thing is? The generation that's coming forward, they know how bad things are that we're doing, but they still continually do it.
Yeah.
Like, I think I was watching this interview about, there's this, on the new iPhone update, they're bringing in this thing that tells you, I think exactly how long... No. It's on the new Instagram upgrade. They're going to be telling you how long you spend on the app.
Wow, okay.
Apparently it's something that they're trying to implement for the new thing. So they had... No, it was definitely... No, sorry. It was definitely on the iPhone update. Update, they had something that tells you exactly how long you spend on your phone.
Wow.
And what apps you spend more time on, how long you spend on it, how... Like, it tells you, like, when you, like, pick up your phone just to check it.
Wow.
How long you just hover on the home screen for, and exactly so you know, like, your... phone habits, and like then it looks at like what apps you use the most, and then they've done this test between a grown man and this small girl.
Yeah.
And the grown man, he spent most of his time on Twitter.
Okay.
And the girl spent most of her time on Instagram. And while she was
I'm gonna laugh at this shit at the end, man. You're gonna hate me for it, but go on.
And then while it was going on, like she was saying, oh, it's funny that you can tell how long you've been using it. And then
Yeah.
it was funny that the little girl was the one to actually say that, I don't think it's a good thing that we spend all this time on our phones, because I see the kind of disconnect,
Yeah.
but I still do it. You know?
How the fuck do you find that shit, man?
You know? And I was just like, but if a girl like as young, she's maybe what, 10?
10, yeah.
She's aware of everything that's going on, to an understanding of an adult, but
Yeah.
she's just so like involved in it with, you know, everyone else is doing.
Everyone else is doing it, and I don't have to use my brain, so
Yeah.
might as well do it. Okay, this is the problem with some sort of statistic or like a data like that, is like, how qualitative is it? Like, if I spend a lot of time on Instagram,
Yeah.
am I updating and making a business out for myself, or getting my name out there?
Yeah.
And that obviously Instagram is known for.
Yeah.
And or am I actually just going there and just basically like searching up shit and just basically scrolling through like
Yeah.
like, they really need to make sure they break that down into charts as well.
I think they
That
were
there's
trying to on Instagram.
an effective way to use it, or not an effective way to
Yeah.
use it. But
But I think they
Jeez.
should, because it is becoming a problem, this whole technology. People, like, from the fact that when I heard that being addicted to Facebook is actually a mental health thing now.
Yeah.
And I was just like, what? You could be addicted to Facebook?
yeah, like I was surprised when I found out you can get addicted to gaming. Like, when I was like, oh my god, that's a thing now.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
people are not leaving their rooms for like
yeah,
24 hours because they need to play games.
Well, which I can understand, because it's just, it's so, they make you, it's the whole thing, everything's easier. You can just do everything from your from just sat on your Jack Jones.
Yeah.
Just sat on the chair. I want food. Do I need to go to the shop? Nah. Do I need to call no one? Nah. I just jump on that.
Just jump on that
Don't
app,
talk
like,
to no
wow.
one. Well, how long is it coming? Alright, cool. I'll be ready.
All right, cool. Yeah, I'll be ready. Yeah, I can have a nap for 40 minutes
know?
before the Domino's pizza come, you know.
And just in case they do come, I'll put my phone on loud.
Yeah, I'll put my phone on loud. I'll even make an alarm. If I don't hear
Yeah.
the first one, I'll make one in 5 minutes, because I know I can do it.
Yeah.
But do you know what? Okay, talking about health, right? And talking about like technology and like how much we use it and stuff. I worked in opticians for 10 years, Corey.
You worked where, sorry?
In opticians. So I've worked in franchises, boutiques, independents. I've worked alongside NHS as well, like with corporate businesses.
Okay, that's cool.
And one thing I learned was that kids are basically on their screen so much that kids at the age of early as between 4 or 5 are getting glasses.
Yeah.
And someone, an optometrist once said to me, he goes, there will come a point where everyone's going to need glasses. Even adults past the age of 38 and 45, if they've never ever had glasses, before they even come in and I look at their date of birth, I'm like, okay, she's never had specs. She's going to come out and she's probably going to need it for everything or just reading.
Yeah.
Because your computer screen is so close. Samsung was, I think, one of the first ones to do it. They introduced the blue light filter. So when you turn it on, it's the same as the Nikon filter that they've got in the lenses, which they started introducing, the blue one. And that does that for your screen, so your eyes are not affected.
My iPhone does it at night. It's called night mode or something. It just automatically turns off the blue light.
That's it. And then that really helps your eyes.
Yeah.
Because it's the amount of melanin that's basically not being restored back, because your eyes are open and you're staring at the screen so long.
What else is
Oh, relevance, man.
well, he did
There's more questions.
one more.
Go on. Make it the one.
I shall make it up.
That's the perfect question. The one that doesn't exist.
Exactly.
What is the question of the present day?
So you write about, I guess, your take on life.
Yeah.
You are a poet of split minds. So if you had advice
Yeah.
for any up and coming poets that were unsure about performing, because you've just recently performed for the first time.
Yeah, like I recently just started performing.
Yeah, exactly. I only started performing a year ago.
Yeah, because of my anxiety, I couldn't, but I've been challenging it each time. Yeah.
So if you had any advice or help, or what would you say to someone who is up and coming and who was maybe just writing stuff down, but they really wanted to perform, but they just weren't sure about it?
Okay. When you feel that way, you basically what you're doing is you're holding yourself against yourself. Now, the first thing I always say to you is that you already have the confidence inside you. You are not the person who is demotivating yourself to get out there and say something, and guess what? Nothing or something will happen. It's a win-win at the same time. But what you've managed to do is slowly, no matter how, for me it was anxiety, so no matter how much you thought you did not, you can't get yourself on the platform, which is a stage in front of a microphone, and just speak, even if it's low, even if it's loud, whatever you say, words are words. So you just have to take that first step. And that first step, once you take it, you won't look back after that first step. And the thing is, you might shake, you might tremble, you might swear, and you might get so nervous inside that your guts feel so tight. But once you do it, you're going to go back again. And guess what? The next time it will become 10% easier, or maybe 5% easier. And you keep doing it. And what will happen is you're going to develop yourself as such a person that you would start forgetting what it felt like to be nervous at one point when you were doing something. And it's because you gain that confidence, and that level of confidence you gain gives you that comfort to be yourself. And the idea is to be yourself, because when you're being yourself, you are hearing yourself before other people hear you. And we want to hear you. We want to hear what you have to say. We want to hear your opinions, and we want you to get out there and just tell us how real that you can be with us.
Tell us your story.
And tell us your story, and we will do the level best with you as well.
Yeah.
So that's why I always say, like, basically that confidence, you have it. And trust me, boys and girls, you will get that out, and it just takes practice. Remember, that's all you've been taught since you were young. The first words you learn, everything, it took practice. Walking takes practice, talking takes practice, performing in front of someone takes practice. And once you've done it one time, you'll be surprised when you reach the 10th time, because you're going to have so much fun along the way. So that's what I'd say. Yeah,
That's a really good answer. Can't lie. Really good answer. That is the end of my interview.
We've had some good talks today. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you. Oh, it's been a pleasure.
Oh, I need to unlock this phone as well.
1 hour and 41 minutes.
Right, so I'll call that the end of the show. So thank you at home for listening to this very possibly windy episode.
Or the fact that you think we're about to go on a flight somewhere, or out of this country to be stress-free.
But thank you for listening. And if you haven't enjoyed your time on the podcast, then more for you for sat there at home and listening for 1 hour and 42 minutes. Like, you're an idiot.
Yeah, man, what's wrong with you?
Do you have anything to plug, Minnie, before you leave?
All I would say is, first of all, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
It's been a very enriching evening, most definitely. And what I'd say is, I speak for mental health, and what I would say is that this creativity that you're coming up with and what we're doing, all together, like, it's everywhere now, universally. And I just want to make sure that with what you are doing and what I'm doing, we are going to continuously keep promoting the idea of creative.
Yeah.
And it's creative people and places, and that's exactly where we're trying to take our message. And
100%.
it's beautiful. I mean, this podcast is just amazing. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for this.
Oh, so
Blessings.
yeah. Bye, guys.
Bye.